Hello everybody, my name is Alex Davidson, I'm with the Hobby Quest, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build the ironbird. This is an ornithopter, which is a type of airplane that flaps its wings, much like a bird or a bat. This is originally designed after Leonardo da Vinci's early work with trying to do a powered flight. He never got it to fly, but we will. So as far as flying this, we usually want to keep this inside. This is a really great indoor plane to fly because it doesn't take up a whole lot of room. It can fly really, really great, and especially when the air is calm. So if you want to take this outside and it's a very calm day, you can do that. But for the most part, this is an indoor plane, and it flies so great when it's in an indoor environment. So we're going to take everything out of the package. This is what you're going to get. One thing I want to point out is that it's going to look a little bit different. There's a lot of different models for this, like different colors and stuff, but it's all the same build. The other thing to point out, inside the package we'll find the rubber band. This one you can see is just one big long rubber band. Sometimes you'll find it with 3 smaller ones that you put on, but it ends up being kind of the same build process. It's going to be just a little bit different. We'll go over that later. So in here we get, here we are. So we have the wood stick. This is going to be the fuselage. We have the hook, and we have, here we are, the tail right here. And last but not least, we have the main wing structure. That one opens up nice and big, just like that. So this one is designed to look a bit more like a bird, but we have others that look very different. So, first things first, we want to collect up all of the garbage. We don't want this to be laying around for just sitting there. At the end of the class, you don't want to be cleaning up garbage the whole time. So the very first thing we do is after the kids get their ornithopters out, they pull everything out onto the table. We have everyone collect all of the bags together, and I usually assign one student to collect the garbage and throw it away for us. So once all of the garbage is put away, I tell the students to lay everything out on the table so that they can see everything, making sure that they have their own work area. Sometimes kids end up sitting like right next to each other, and then all the things get all mixed up with all of the other things. So that's bad. So we want to make sure that all the kids have their own work area. So once we have established that, what I do is I ask all the kids to just put everything down. I say nothing in anyone's hands, absolutely nothing. I don't want to see anyone picking things up, looking at things, because if they have something in their hands, it means they're not paying attention to you. So I have all the kids put everything down, and then I show them, we're going to pull this out, and what we're going to do is we're going to attach these 2 spindles to the little hooks on the wings. Now, these parts, the spokes, it's very important that they go on the right way. So if we stick it on one way, so we want to stick it on so that it is flat. You don't want this to spin on the way up. So we stick it on like that, and we will see that's not how a bird flies at all. This looks not very good. This is flapping one wing at a time. This is not how it's supposed to go together. What's happening is we're putting the 2 sticks on the wrong sides. Now, something that I've noticed is that it is almost impossible to explain to the kids, the front spoke goes onto the right wing and then the back spoke goes onto it's too complicated. So I find the easiest way to do it is just to say to connect it, spin this, see how it flaps. If it flaps correctly, then don't touch it. If it flaps like this, turn the spokes around the other direction. So I'm going to pull this out, just like this, turn it over to the other wings, and now we are going to find that it flaps like that. So that's what we want. That's what we want the wings to do there. So once all of the kids have gotten it to that point, and I usually have, one kid helping another kid. If one kid sees like how to do it immediately, they're going to end up helping all the other kids put this together. So once that's done, the next thing we do is we go to the back here, and we will find this hole. So we're just going to stick our fuselage, that's the stick right there, into the back there, and then the hook goes onto the very back. Now the thing to point out is that the hook is of course on the bottom. That way the rubber band will be able to go between these two parts without having to wrap around. That may be obvious to you, but to the kids it's not so obvious, so you want to point out that you want that on the bottom. So once that's in place, we're going to put the rubber band in place now. So with this one, what we do is we make sure that the rubber band has no spins in it or anything like that. We take it to the very end, and we just tie a simple little knot. One thing to make sure of, make sure you grab it really close to the knot, pull it nice and tight. We want to make that knot really small so that that will not come undone. So in order to attach this rubber band, what we want to do is we want to attach it right at the back. This is where we started out. And I show the kids that we want the knot to be right at the very back of this, at this back hook. We don't want this knot to be over here or anything like that, because then when this is spinning, these trailing ends will end up getting all caught up in it, and that's not very good. So to make sure that doesn't happen, we put the knot right at the back, just like this. We're going to take this whole thing, kind of treat it as one strand. So we're going to take this forward, hook it into the front like this. That comes around, goes through the back, just like that. And I'm actually finding that this will not be, like this will be too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a little bit of tension, just a tiny bit, just to stretch it out a little bit. Here we go. Just a tiny bit. We don't want this to be super tight. So now with that little bit of tension, I got that extra distance, and now I'm able to come back around and finish it off. So this is actually good to go. This is ready to go. The last part that we want to do is we're going to take the tail. You're going to find that this has a metal strip right in the back. And this is actually really awesome. This actually lets you adjust it because the metal, of course, is able to bend one way or another. So this is going to go straight into the back. You're going to find a little slot back here. So it just inserts itself right there. There we are. And now we're going to just tilt this up just a little, just like that. If we find that the plane isn't flying quite right, we can adjust this based on that. But we're going to start out right about here with that much of an angle. Now, one thing I want to point out is that you're going to find that sometimes the wooden spindles come detached from the plastic here. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that the plane is broken. And sometimes this will happen during the build process. Sometimes it'll come out of the package with just a little bit coming off, and that's okay. I wouldn't bother trying to fix it immediately. Instead, you let everyone build their planes, get everything finished, then you can start repairing them with that, just because that way it kind of streamlines the whole thing. In order to repair them, the best tool to use is your Scotch tape. Scotch tape is awesome. This stuff, you just take this and just put a little bit right on the plastic, like that, holding it nicely in place. I'm going to fold it over the edge. So this one wasn't broken, but if it was, that would fix it. And that applies to this. It applies to this whole area down here. And one thing is actually, this back stick is incredibly important. If this comes detached just a little bit, the plane will not fly all that well. So that actually has to be stuck in place, like all the way through. So if that comes detached, you want to make sure that you reattach that. And of course, when you go out to fly these with the kids, you want to take the Scotch tape with you, just in case. So now that you're ready to go out and fly your ironbird, what we want to do is we want to show the kids that what we do is we wind it up, just like this. We make sure that we hold it from this top part here, just like reaching your hand like that, holding it there. This is the best place to hold it. You don't want to hold it from back here because there's not much leverage. It's going to come out of your hand. It's going to break. So we want to hold it right there. And we're just going to wind this part up right here. So it's going to make the bird flap a whole bunch. And what we do is we usually just have them wind it just a couple of times, just like that. and we can test it. So what we'll do is we'll give it a quick test. We'll throw it and see how it flies. And what we're doing here is we're trying to see how well the back tail functions. If it's lifting too much and it's just like stalling and it's sitting there not really sure what to do, then you want to put this down a little bit. If it's going and it's just like slowly going down and crashing, then we want to lift this up a bit. Because of that metal piece going in there, this is very easily adjustable. That just goes up and down just totally easily. Now, once they're ready to do that, once everything's done and they've figured out where it wants to go and everything's adjusted, now we're going to start winding it for real. So when we do that, we want to look at the knots appearing on the bottom. You can see it's starting to knot up here. So we're going to wind this until it is completely filled with knots. And this is usually a good point to fly it from. You don't want to wind it too much because you don't want the rubber band to break. This one will probably handle a whole bunch more. We could probably go until we get double knots. And I actually find that the kids get to the point where they can't wind it anymore because of the tension, rather than the rubber band breaking. But I still want to make sure that I tell them, you know, make sure you don't wind it too much, could break the rubber band. Now, one thing to be very careful of is you want to tell the kids when they're flying this, you want to make sure that nobody is in front of them. This ironbird has a tendency to sometimes land on top of someone's head, and this will get caught in their hair. So if they have long hair, this will actually get all spun up in their hair, and it's not very good. So you want to make sure that all the kids understand you do not fly this if someone is like, you know, directly in front of them or anything like that. You want to make everyone aware, hey guys, I'm about to throw this plane, watch out. So that's the best way to make sure that we're nice and safe with it. So when we fly it, we hold it straight just like this. We let go of the front, and then we give it a light toss forward. It's trying to pull out of my hands a bit. So we give it a light toss forward, and then it should take off and it'll go on its own. So that's pretty much it for the way that the ironbird flies. This is a really, really great plane. It's just like, it's simple, it's awesome, and it's something that they've probably never seen before. This isn't exactly a standard type of build, so this is always something that the kids are always super excited to see. It's like, look, it's a bird.